Hello, everybody. It's the last Thursday in February. My name is Dr. Tamara McCants, and this is Pharmacy for the People. I was supposed to pre-record my video and release it later on at 8:30 because my sons want to go to the movies. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give you all the information that I want to give you right now, and then hopefully you can watch it later. So I don't know if anybody is online and wants to join me, but I want to wrap up Heart Health Month today talking about heart attacks. We throw that term around all the time, like, oh my goodness, stop playing with me, you're about to give me a heart attack. And then, when we are watching like our most dramatic soap operas or movies, it's always real dramatic, somebody holding on to their chest and falling out. And sometimes a heart attack does happen like that, but it doesn't always occur that way so dramatically. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is how you recognize the signs and symptoms of heart attack, explain to you exactly what is happening when someone is experiencing a heart attack, what you can do to help yourself or to help your loved one if you see them having a heart attack, and what do you do after a heart attack. Any heart attack survivors on here, send a shout out and a link, put a message in the chat, let people know that you have survived the heart attack and that you're here living to talk to us about it and to help prevent it later on. So first, I'm going to talk about just the general signs and symptoms of a heart attack. The most common sign of a heart attack is chest pain, or what we call angina or angina, depending on what kind of accents you have. But it's chest pain. And the thing about chest pain is that it can actually be the earliest sign that you're experiencing a heart attack. Some people start experiencing a heart attack weeks, days, and hours before they actually have what we consider a heart attack, where someone can fall out unconscious. And one of the earliest signs is just chest pain. And that chest pain is usually upon exertion or when you're moving around, and it's relieved by rest. So it's very scary to think about it. If you're hearing that right now and you're like, man, sometimes when I'm walking too fast, my chest hurt, but then when I stop, it doesn't hurt anymore. That might be an early sign that you're experiencing a heart attack. And I just want to encourage you not to ignore those little things or those little signs when things are wrong with your body and we're being alerted, but we just kind of ignore it or we push through. No. So if you're having any kind of chest pain, that might be an early sign that you're having a heart attack. If you feel weak, lightheaded, or faint, and that's so vague, because sometimes you could just feel like, oh, I'm not really feeling well. And unfortunately, a really good friend of mine, his wife died, and that's how she felt. She just wasn't feeling good all day. And so I also want to highlight that. You may also experience pain in your jaw or your neck, or pain in one or both of your arms or shoulders, shortness of breath. All are signs that you may be experiencing a heart attack. And in women, again, sometimes these signs are much more subtle, especially because as women, we ignore pain a lot. But if you're feeling any pain in your upper back or belly, again, especially when it's kind of stops after you stop moving around, or if you're experiencing nausea and vomiting and or heartburn, for women, that all may be subtle signs that you are experiencing a heart attack. So I just want you to just pay attention to your body. If something feels off, don't hesitate to take it very seriously and call 911. So what's happening when you're having a heart attack? There's basically some type of blockage that is not allowing for blood to get to your heart. And so all month long, we've been talking about how important your heart is and how important the role of your heart is to get blood to your organs. But that blood also, your heart is also an organ. And so when the blood can't get there because of some type of blockage, then that's exactly what's happening when you have a heart attack. And so that's why when people say that they had a mini heart attack, that's true, because at some point there was some type of blockage that stopped blood from flowing to the heart and that causes the heart muscle to die. And so this blockage can be caused by cholesterol, too much cholesterol in the blood vessels, too much sugar in the blood vessels, and also blood clots. And one thing I want to talk to you all about blood clots is that, especially in post-COVID, that inflammation, a lot of people are finding that after COVID that they have increased more blood clots in their body. So don't ignore any of those signs. If you have difficulty breathing, or if you have pain or swelling in your legs or anything like that, that may be a sign or symptom of a blood clot. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about that now, but I'm probably going to talk about that in an episode in the future, because you just don't want to ignore that. Because if you have a blood clot and that blood clot moves to your heart area or to your lungs, it can be very, very detrimental. So you want to just make sure that you are monitoring your body, you're monitoring those signs and symptoms, and that you do something about it when something is, something starts feeling off. But again, I want to reiterate that with a heart attack, that sometimes it is sudden, but a lot of times it could be starting hours, days, or even weeks in advance with some of those more subtle symptoms that we are referring to tonight. So what do you do? If you are feeling like you're having chest pain, if you're having that shortness of breath, or if you don't feel well, call 911. A lot of times when we don't feel well, we call a loved one, we call a family member, like, oh, I'm not really feeling good. I'm not feel so good tonight. No. As we're talking about your heart, because things quickly de-escalate, you want to call 911. If you are already on medication and you have nitroglycerin or medication called nitroglycerin, then take it as soon as you feel the chest pain. Don't wait until it feels real, real bad. At the first onset of chest pain, you should take your nitroglycerin if you're prescribed nitroglycerin. Don't take your grandmother's nitroglycerin if you start feeling chest pains and you feel like you want to take nitroglycerin. No, you can't do that. But what is recommended, and I do want you to talk to your doctor about this first, is that if you feel like you might be having a heart attack, taking aspirin can save your life. Everybody should have a small bottle of baby aspirin, or 81 milligrams of aspirin, because what that does is that it helps for your blood to thin a little bit, so that if there is some type of blockage, that at least a little bit of blood is still getting to your heart. So if you're experiencing a heart attack or think you might be experiencing a heart attack, first thing you do is call 911. The second thing you do is to try to take an aspirin. If you're not the person that's experiencing a heart attack, but you think someone has experienced a heart attack, I want to talk to you very quickly about hands-only CPR. If you find someone and they are unconscious, that person may be unconscious for several reasons. If you know that person is on opioids or using or opioids or is a heroin addict, then it may be because they have overdosed. So every person, healthcare professional or just a regular abiding good citizen, should always have naloxone on hand and should always know when to do what's called hands-only CPR. After this feed tonight, I want you to just Google it, YouTube it, hands-only CPR. Because if you find somebody that's passed out, unconscious, they're not responding to you when you're saying hello, hello, are you okay? No response, no pulse, and no breathing, you can save their life with hands-only CPR. Please look it up. Let me know that you looked it up and see how easy it is for you to save somebody's life. So if you find somebody unconscious and you think they may have had a heart attack, you go in. First thing, call 911. And the second thing is that if they're unconscious, not breathing, no pulse, you can start hands-only CPR. And hopefully, if any of us has experienced a heart attack, somebody intervened or you intervened on your behalf, on your own behalf, based on the information that you got today, and you survived it. Millions of people survive heart attacks every single year. And there is life after heart attack. So if you've had a heart attack, then don't be afraid. And it's normal for you to be afraid, constantly living in fear, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have another heart attack, or I'm about to die. And you're not. Millions of people live long, healthy lives after a heart attack. And so the best thing that you can do after a heart attack is to prevent from having one. Make sure that you're taking your medications, engage with your doctor, keep up with your doctor's appointments. If you were recommended for cardiac rehabilitation, make sure that you're going, because your heart is a muscle. So it's basically just like going to physical therapy after you've injured, your leg or something like that. And get support. Tell your family. Don't be private about it. Don't be private if you know that you had a heart attack and you don't want to tell nobody. Tell your family. Tell your friends. Tell somebody that you trust so you could get some type of support. And last but not least, manage your risk factors. And that's all of us. Don't wait until you have a heart attack to prevent yourself from having a heart attack, but manage your risk factors now. Keep your blood pressure low. Keep your stress low. Take medication if you're on medication, and get some cardiac exercise in. Make time for it. I'm speaking to myself too, as I'm talking to you every single week. All these health tips, I'm also motivating myself to live healthier as well. So I hope that this little bit of tidbit help you to save your own life and to save someone else's life. Be aware of the signs and symptoms of a heart attack. And that ends our Heart Health Month. Usually on the last Thursday, I do Ask the Pharmacist, but I'm not able to do that tonight, but I will do it next week. So drop your questions in the chat. Talk to me on social media. Let me know what you want to know. And I'm looking forward to seeing you all again next week.